Welcome to the Story Hub. The book we are talking about today is called You Can Heal Your Life. This is the second part of this book. If you haven't seen the first part, there is a link in the description. Then watch that too. Let's activate today's summary.
There comes a point in every healing journey when words are no longer enough. You've repeated the affirmations, you've forgiven, released, cried, rebuilt. You've started to believe that maybe, just maybe, you are worthy of peace. But then life throws another storm your way. A sudden loss, a rejection, a moment of doubt that shakes everything you thought you'd healed. It feels unfair, as if the universe is testing you, pulling the rug just when you found your balance. And maybe it is, but not to break you. Louise Hay would say that life never works against us. It works for us. Even in pain, life is guiding us toward deeper trust. Because faith doesn't grow in calm waters. It's born in the chaos, when everything you can see falls apart and all you have left is what you feel. Faith is not blind belief. It's the quiet knowing that even when you can't see the road ahead, there is one, and it's leading somewhere good. Louise called it trusting the process of life. She would tell her students, life loves you. 3 simple words, but to live them takes courage, because to truly trust life means surrendering control. And for many of us, control has been our safety. We cling to it like armor, believing that if we plan enough, fight enough, we can prevent pain. But control is built on fear. Fear that life won't take care of us, fear that we're alone. Trust, on the other hand, is built on love. It says, I may not understand what's happening, but I know it's happening for me. Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff, blindfolded, and hearing a voice whisper, jump, you will fly. Everything logical inside you screams no, but something deeper, that quiet voice within says, maybe. That's what surrender feels like. It's terrifying at first because it means giving up the illusion that you're in control of everything. But once you take that leap, once you let go, something miraculous happens. You stop falling. You float. You realize that the same power that spins the stars and moves the tides is the same power that moves through you. Life begins to carry you instead of you carrying it. Louise would often say that everything I need to know is revealed to me. Everything I need comes to me in the perfect time and space sequence. This wasn't just optimism, it was alignment. When you trust life, you stop forcing outcomes. You begin to flow instead of fight. Things that used to feel heavy start to unfold naturally. The right people appear, the right doors open. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. But this trust isn't passive, it's active faith. It means showing up, doing your part, then letting go of the rest. You don't have to chase what's already yours. But trusting life also means trusting its timing. That's the hardest part. We live in a world that worships speed and hates uncertainty. We want instant results, instant healing, instant love, instant success. But the universe doesn't work on our schedule. It works on alignment, not urgency. Sometimes the delay is the blessing. Sometimes what you think is a rejection is just redirection. Life isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. Louise would say, out of this situation, only good will come. To believe that in the middle of chaos is not denial, it's mastery. Think of the seed buried in the soil. In the darkness, it could easily believe it's been abandoned. But underground, unseen, it's transforming, breaking open, becoming what it was meant to be. If the seed could speak, it might scream, why am I buried? Not realizing it's not a burial, it's a planting. That's how life works. Every ending carries the seed of a beginning. Every closed door hides an unseen miracle. And when you trust this, you stop needing to control everything. You stop fearing uncertainty. You begin to live with an open heart. Louise's own life was proof of this trust. There were moments when she lost everything, relationships, stability, even her health. But she never surrendered to despair. She turned inward, affirmed love, and trusted that even the pain had purpose. That trust didn't make her life easier. It made her stronger, freer, lighter. She often said, the universe is always conspiring for your highest good, even when it doesn't look that way. And when you truly believe that, fear loses its grip. Faith and fear cannot coexist in the same breath. One expands, the other contracts. Faith opens doors, fear locks them. But faith doesn't mean never feeling fear. It means walking forward even when you do. It means whispering, I trust life to support me, when everything in you wants to run. Over time, this becomes your new reflex. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That single shift changes everything. Because now, instead of being life's victim, you've become its student. And life, as a teacher, never fails those who are willing to learn. Still, trust doesn't mean doing nothing. It means listening. It means taking inspired action, not from panic, but from peace. When your heart is calm, guidance becomes clear. The right words, the right opportunities, the right paths begin to reveal themselves. You realize that intuition isn't magic, it's communication between you and the universe. The more you trust it, the louder it speaks. And as you learn to flow with life instead of fighting it, something extraordinary begins to unfold. You begin to experience harmony. Things that once felt disconnected start to align. Your thoughts, your body, your relationships. The outer world mirrors your inner peace. You no longer need to chase what's meant for you. You attract it by being at peace with yourself. That's the quiet miracle of surrender. But there's still one truth left to learn, one that sits at the heart of Louise's message: love. Not the romantic kind, not the fragile love that depends on others, but the infinite love that life itself is made of. The love that lives beneath everything, every fear, every wound, every breath. To understand that love is to understand healing itself. And that's where we go next, into the ultimate realization that love is not something we seek, but something we remember. Because when you remember that you are love, life no longer needs to be healed. It simply needs to be lived. Because when you remember that you are love, life no longer needs to be healed. It simply needs to be lived. It needs to be healed. It simply needs to be lived.
Love. It's the word we've heard our entire lives, yet most of us have never truly known what it means. We confuse it with approval, attachment, or validation, believing love is something we earn when we're good enough. From childhood, we're conditioned to chase it: a smile from a parent when we behave, praise from a teacher when we perform, affection from someone when we please. We learn to trade pieces of ourselves for crumbs of acceptance, and we call that love. But it's not. That's transaction, not truth. Louise Hay believed that love, real love, begins only when we stop looking outward and turn inward, when we remember that the love we've been searching for has been inside us all along. In her workshops, Louise would stand before thousands and say, "The love you're looking for is already within you. You just have to remove the walls you built against it." People would cry hearing that, because somewhere deep down, they already knew it. Every act of self-criticism, every moment of shame, every time we said, "I'm not enough," those were just walls built from misunderstanding. The truth is, love isn't something we have to deserve. It's something we are. It's the natural state we were born with before the world told us we were broken. Babies don't doubt their worth. They don't question if they're lovable. They exist, and they are loved. But as we grow, we forget. We internalize the pain, the rejection, the words that said we weren't good enough. And layer by layer, we bury love under fear. Healing, then, isn't about finding love. It's about remembering it. But how do you love yourself when you've spent years believing you don't deserve it? How do you look in the mirror and feel compassion for the person you've spent so long criticizing? Louise began with something deceptively simple: mirror work. She would ask people to stand in front of a mirror, look into their own eyes, and say, "I love you. I really love you." The first time you try it, it feels strange, maybe even painful. You see all your perceived flaws, all your guilt, all your self-doubt staring back.
The mind resists, whispering, "This is stupid. This isn't true." But beneath that resistance is the wound, the part of you that never heard those words when you needed them most. And when you keep saying them, day after day, something begins to shift. The wall starts to soften. The child within you begins to listen. Because that's who you're really speaking to in the mirror, the child you once were, the one who still lives inside you, waiting to be seen. For so many of us, that inner child has been ignored or silenced. We've told them, "Stop being weak, stop crying, grow up." But Louise would remind us that we can't heal what we reject. She would say, "You've been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens." Love isn't just an emotion, it's medicine. It's the gentle warmth that melts away shame. It's the voice that says, "It's okay. You did your best." When you begin to love yourself, not conditionally, but entirely, something remarkable happens. The world starts to love you back. That's not magic, it's reflection. The outer world always mirrors your inner beliefs. When you see yourself as unworthy, you attract people and situations that confirm that belief. But when you see yourself as enough, as whole, you radiate that energy. You stop chasing love, and instead, love begins to find you. Relationships transform, not because others change, but because you do. You stop trying to earn love through sacrifice. You stop tolerating disrespect disguised as affection. You realize that your worth was never up for negotiation. That realization doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you free. And yet self-love is not always soft. Sometimes it's fierce. Sometimes it means walking away from what doesn't serve you, setting boundaries, saying no when it feels easier to say yes. It means choosing peace over people-pleasing, rest over productivity, truth over approval. Louise would remind her students, loving yourself is not vanity, it's sanity. Because when you love yourself, you stop betraying yourself. You stop living from fear and start living from authenticity. You stop needing to be perfect and start being real. As self-love deepens, you begin to see others differently too. Judgment dissolves because you realize everyone is fighting their own inner battles. The people who lash out are the ones who most need love. Compassion becomes your natural response, not because you're trying to be good, but because you understand. Love expands your awareness until you can no longer separate yourself from others. The boundaries of me and them start to blur, and you realize we are all one. The same divine energy that breathes through you breathes through them. The same love that heals you has the power to heal the world. Louise often described love as the great transformer, the energy that turns fear into faith, pain into purpose, wounds into wisdom. And when you begin to live from that space, life stops being a struggle. It becomes a dance. You start to trust that everything and everyone in your life is a reflection of your own consciousness, offering you a chance to love more deeply, forgive more easily, and live more freely. Even challenges become sacred because you see them as invitations to love what you once rejected. But there's one last truth Louise wanted everyone to experience, not just know, but feel. That love isn't just something you give to yourself or others, it's the essence of existence itself. It's the pulse behind the stars, the whisper in the wind, the stillness in your breath. Life is love expressing itself through form. When you finally see that, when you feel that in your bones, you stop searching for meaning, because you are the meaning. And that's where the real magic begins. Because once you remember that love is who you are, life itself begins to change in ways that defy logic. You heal faster, attract differently, live lighter. But Louise's work doesn't end with love. Love is only the foundation. The next step is learning to create consciously from that love, to manifest not from lack or desperation, but from joy and alignment. Because when love becomes your starting point, creation becomes effortless. And that's what we'll explore next. The art of allowing abundance, health, and happiness to flow naturally when your heart is open and your spirit remembers the truth. You are already whole.
Abundance. It's a word that glimmers with promise, wealth, opportunity, joy, freedom. But for most people, it feels like something just out of reach.
We chase it like a mirage in the desert, working harder, pushing further, believing that once we have enough, money, recognition, love, then we'll finally feel whole. Yet the truth, as Louise Hay taught, is the exact opposite. Abundance doesn't come to those who chase it. It flows from those who already feel whole. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe, and the world will always mirror back to you the energy you send into it. When Louise began to explore this idea, she discovered something revolutionary, that the lack we see in our lives isn't a punishment, but a reflection of our beliefs about what we deserve. If we secretly believe we're unworthy of wealth, it won't matter how hard we work, the universe will continue to match our inner frequency of scarcity. If we think love always ends in pain, we'll unconsciously sabotage every relationship that tries to prove otherwise. The mind is powerful, yes, but it's the heart that decides what we allow. And that's why she often said, prosperity begins in the mind, but it blossoms in the heart. Imagine two people standing before the same open door of opportunity. One believes, I deserve this, and steps forward. The other hesitates, thinking, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough. The door is open for both, but only one walks through. That's how belief shapes destiny. The universe isn't selective, it's responsive. It doesn't say, you can have this, but you can't have that. It says, as you wish. So the work isn't about forcing success. It's about aligning your inner vibration with the frequency of what you desire. When you feel worthy, the world reflects that worth back to you in ways that seem miraculous. Louise saw money as spiritual energy, not evil, not holy, but neutral. It simply amplifies who we already are. If we're fearful, money magnifies fear. If we're loving, it magnifies love. So the key isn't to chase money. It's to heal your relationship with it. She would ask people, how do you talk about money? What do you believe about it? Because every time you say, I never have enough, or money is hard to get, you're affirming scarcity. And the universe, ever obedient, replies, as you wish. But when you begin to say, money flows to me easily, or I am open to abundance, you shift the current. The river that once trickled begins to rush, not because you forced it, but because you stopped blocking it. Abundance isn't just about wealth. It's about freedom. It's about waking up with peace, knowing you're safe, loved, and guided. It's about feeling supported by life itself. When you start to trust that life loves you, really loves you, lack dissolves. Because lack is only the illusion that you're separate from the source of all good. Louise would often remind people there is no shortage of anything in the universe. There's only shortage of belief. Look at nature. The ocean doesn't worry about running out of waves. The sun doesn't ration its light. The trees don't apologize for growing tall. Life gives without fear, and when we align with that flow, abundance becomes our natural state. But for that flow to open, you must release guilt and fear around receiving. So many of us feel unworthy of good things. We downplay our desires, saying, I don't need much, or I'll be fine with just enough, as if asking for more is selfish. But Louise would say, you deserve all good because you exist. You don't need to prove your worthiness. Your existence is proof. When you open your arms to receive, you're not taking from anyone else. You're simply allowing life to express its infinite generosity through you. One of her most powerful affirmations was, I am open and receptive to all the good and abundance in the universe. She would encourage people to repeat it daily, not to force belief, but to reprogram the mind to expect good. Because expectation is the bridge between belief and manifestation. When you expect miracles, you invite them. When you expect struggle, you create it. The universe responds not to your words alone, but to the emotion beneath them. Speak with gratitude, and you summon grace. Speak with fear, and you summon resistance. Gratitude, Louise said, is the magnet of abundance. Not the polite kind we say out of habit, but the deep, soul-felt appreciation that says, "Thank you, life, for what I have and what's on its way." When you live in gratitude, you shift your focus from what's missing to what's present, and energy flows where attention goes. Suddenly, blessings multiply, opportunities appear, synchronicities align. The more you thank life, the more it gives you reasons to say thank you. Gratitude turns ordinary days into miracles. But abundance isn't just a one-way flow of receiving. It's a cycle. What you give returns to you multiplied. When you share love, kindness, generosity, not from obligation, but from joy, the universe mirrors that energy back to you. Louise lived by this truth. She gave freely, her time, her love, her teachings, trusting that she could never run out. And she never did. Because true abundance is never about accumulation. It's about circulation. When you hoard, you block the flow. When you give with an open heart, you expand it. But still, abundance isn't just about money or things. It's about alignment. You can have everything and still feel empty if you're disconnected from yourself. The ultimate abundance is inner peace, knowing that no matter what changes outside, your worth remains untouched. That's why Louise taught that true prosperity begins with self-love. Once you love yourself, you no longer need things to prove your value. You begin to enjoy them instead of cling to them. You stop chasing and start allowing. And that's the final secret: allowing. Most people try to manifest from control, but creation doesn't work that way. You can't grasp abundance. You can only open to it. Allowing is trust in motion. It's saying, "I am ready, and I trust life to deliver in perfect timing." When you reach that state, where desire and peace coexist, miracles become normal. But even as abundance flows, there's one more transformation that completes the circle. Gratitude turning into purpose. Because when you've healed, when you've loved, when you've received, there comes a moment when your heart whispers, "Now give back." And that's the final chapter of healing. Not just creating a beautiful life for yourself, but using it to lift others, to become the light that once guided you. And that's where we go next, into the final part of this journey, a return to purpose, peace, and the eternal truth that life's greatest gift isn't what you get, but what you become. There comes a moment, often quiet and unannounced, when healing stops being about fixing yourself and starts becoming about remembering who you truly are. It's the point when you no longer chase love, success, or validation because you finally see that what you were searching for was never missing. It was always within you, waiting for you to come home. That's what Louise Hay called the return to wholeness. It's not an ending, it's a return. The circle completes itself. You've walked through pain, forgiveness, faith, self-love, abundance, and now you stand here, not as someone new, but as someone real. The masks have fallen away, the fear has softened, and for the first time, you can breathe. Louise often said, "We are spiritual beings having a human experience." For so long, we've reversed that, believing we're just fragile humans occasionally touched by something spiritual. But when you begin to live with awareness, when you truly see yourself beyond the body, beyond the stories, beyond the pain, you realize you're not a collection of scars or memories, you are consciousness itself. You are life expressing itself through form. The love, the energy, the light you once sought in others, that is what you are. And from that realization, peace is born. Not the fragile peace that depends on circumstances, but the kind that stays even when storms come. Because now you understand, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. Every heartbreak was a teacher, every delay was protection, every loss was redirection.
It's easy to look back at your life and see only the pain, the people who left, the opportunities that vanished, the mistakes that haunt you. But from the higher view, you start to see the divine choreography behind it all. That heartbreak that shattered you, it opened your heart. That failure that crushed your pride, it birthed humility. That illness that scared you, it made you listen to your body. Life was never against you, it was always sculpting you into the person you were meant to become. When you realize that, the anger dissolves, the fear fades. What remains is gratitude, not for the pain itself, but for what it gave you: strength, awareness, compassion, depth. Louise believed that the ultimate act of healing is service. When you've learned to love yourself, when you've made peace with your past, when you've discovered that you are the source of your own happiness, the natural impulse is to share it. Healing, when kept, stagnates, but when shared, it multiplies. She often said, the quickest way to heal is to help others heal. And you don't need a stage, a book, or a title to do that. You do it every time you listen without judgment, forgive instead of blame, or speak kindness into someone's darkness. Every smile, every act of compassion, every word of love ripples through the universe in ways you can't imagine. The energy you put out always returns, and when that energy is love, your entire world becomes luminous. In this final stage, life becomes simple again. You begin to live in flow, not in resistance. You wake up with purpose, not pressure. You stop asking, what should I do? And start asking, what feels right today? You realize your purpose isn't one grand thing to be discovered, it's the energy you bring into every moment. Maybe your purpose is to raise a child with love. Maybe it's to paint, to teach, to heal, to create beauty. Or maybe it's simply to smile at strangers and remind them of kindness. Purpose isn't about doing more, it's about being more present. When you live from love, everything you do becomes sacred. Louise used to say, in the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. At first, those words sound almost naive. How can life be perfect when there's so much suffering? But she wasn't denying the pain of the world. She was pointing to the perfection beneath it, the divine order that holds everything together, even when we can't see it. When you look at the sky during a storm, all you see are clouds, but above them, the sun still shines. It was never gone, only hidden. That's how love is. That's how peace is. It never leaves you. It only waits for you to rise above the storm and remember. And that remembering changes everything. You begin to live with grace, not the kind that avoids difficulty, but the kind that meets it with calm. You learn to trust life again even when it's uncertain. You find beauty in small things: a warm morning, a kind word, the stillness between breaths. You begin to realize that joy doesn't come from achieving or having, it comes from being, from presence, from love. And one day, as you sit quietly, maybe by a window, maybe under a tree, you'll feel it: that stillness, that warmth, that deep knowing that you are safe, that you are loved, that you have always been enough. The voice inside you, once loud with fear, now whispers with clarity. You are whole. You are life itself. And in that moment, you understand what Louise Hay meant all along, that healing isn't about becoming someone new, it's about remembering who you've always been. So you close your eyes and take a deep breath and smile, not because everything is perfect, but because you finally know that it already is. You are no longer the wounded seeker. You are the light. You are no longer the victim of life. You are its expression. The story ends where it began, with love. The love that built you, healed you, and was waiting patiently for you to come home to it. And as that realization settles into your soul, you hear life itself whisper, as if smiling through the wind, you are loved. You always were. You always will be. If this journey touched your heart, then don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs healing tonight, and subscribe to The Story Hub for more stories that touch the soul. And tell me in the comments, what part of your heart are you ready to heal next?